Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Anna, and I'm a manifestation coach. I have many years of experience in conscious manifesting, and I have several years of experience in coaching clients. So, even though the channel is brand new, I am quite experienced in this. And since the channel is new, I thought that it would be a good place to start to discuss why manifesting actually is important, hoping to get you as passionate about it as I am, if you're not already. If so, let's explore this together. So, why do I think that manifestation is important? For different reasons. The biggest one, the main reason being, is that the main reason being that you can't switch it off. You are manifesting whether actually you know it or not, whether you believe in it or not, or whether you want it or not. You have been, we all have been manifesting all our lives, and we will always manifest every experience that we will ever have. So therefore it's very important to understand how this works so that you can control what you are manifesting. And therefore you are not learning to manifest, you are actually learning to master what you are manifesting. Every experience that you're having in your physical reality, in what the community, the manifesting community likes to call 3D, and I think that term also, along with lots of terms that are being used, comes from Neville Goddard. The 3D reality being the physical reality that you're experiencing. All of it comes from your inner world. So what you are mastering in reality when you are mastering manifestation is that you are mastering yourself. You are mastering your imagination, your thoughts. You are becoming the one who controls it, because in reality you are the master of your imagination. But if you don't know that you are, you may allow outside circumstances to mess with your mind. This is something that happens a lot, and this is something that happens even to experienced conscious manifestors. Sometimes things happen, and we are human beings with human emotions, and if I don't want to say if we allow it, because sometimes yes we do allow it, sometimes it just messes with us. But when you are as you are becoming more and more experienced with this, you learn how to control what is going on in your inner world so that you can control what you are actually experiencing in your outer world. And yes, sometimes it can feel like a lot of work, and sometimes it is, especially for those of you who are just beginning. When you are just starting out with figuring out what thoughts and beliefs you have about certain situations, about yourself, right? Because you are the core of it all. You are the center of your own universe. Everything in your experience comes from you. So it's very important to know what beliefs you have about yourself. So when you're just starting out, there may be lots of things. You may have lots of beliefs that are not serving you, that are creating experiences that you don't like, that even inner experiences, even emotional experiences, fears of things that maybe have not even happened yet. We've all been there, right? Or negative experiences that keep repeating themselves in different situations, or in the same situation, sometimes with the same people over and over, or the same problem with different people over and over. These are all products of our belief system. So when you're just starting out to figure out what beliefs you have, what you want to change, and you start to work with yourself, you may notice that it's a lot of work. And sometimes you may even think it's not possible. But it is. I'm here to tell you and to hopefully convince you that it is absolutely possible. You need to start somewhere. And yes, it's a lot of work sometimes, especially in the beginning. It gets a lot better, I promise you. But sometimes we just accept that, yes, this is work. But it's just so important to do the work because you're doing it for you. There's no one else except yourself who is going to change your belief system, change your inner world, change your own feelings, your own beliefs, your own assumptions about things. So realize that even though it might feel difficult, and sometimes we even have moments that when it's not really difficult, but we become lazy. This is also something that happens. Again, we've all been there. You just find ways to get back on track on working with yourself. Manifestation is a work you do with yourself, on yourself, and especially for yourself. You are doing this to start experiencing a better reality. Start having experiences that you actually choose. Start having experiences that help you grow, help you become bigger, more abundant. And more abundant, it can be in love, it can be in health, in money, in whatever topic you choose. So this is why I find that it's so important, and we who find out about this are so blessed that even if we have to go through a period where, yes, we do a lot of work, but when you come on the other side, when you come out on the other side of that quote unquote work, well, it is sometimes a mental work, you realize that you have freed yourself from a load that you have been carrying around unnecessarily, because, and the only reason people do that, every one of us who have done that until we find out that we can actually control our experiences, is because we don't know. We didn't know. We believed some things that we don't have to believe anymore. And I was about to say we believed some things that weren't true. But once you believe something, it becomes true for you, even though it may not be true for me. In your reality, it's the truth. It's your experience. And whatever you believe to be true, your mind has to push it out so that you experience it, so that it proves your belief true to you. And therefore, your work is in your inner world, in your inner reality. And when you do that, you start experiencing life differently. And as you do that, the work becomes the work. I keep saying work, but for the lack of a better word, the work becomes less and less because you get rid of those beliefs and you replace them with beliefs that serve you. And so you start experiencing situations that are joyful, that bring you happiness, so that the next thing and the next thing and the next thing you manifest, you start out from a place where you are happier than before, where things feel, especially if you're working on specific parts of your self-concept, you become more confident. You realize that you're actually worthy of the best. And that's a whole different place to start compared to in the very beginning, where you may have beliefs about yourself that say you don't deserve this, you can't have this for whatever reason. So this is my take on manifestation, and especially why it's so important. It's important because you learn to experience things the way you want them, instead of things being served you from the outside. So Joseph Murphy, if you're familiar with Joseph Murphy, he always says that if you don't control your own imagination and your own beliefs and assumptions, this is not a quote by the way, it's the meaning of what he's saying that I'm trying to explain. I don't remember the quote, but I think he repeats this in several of his books and lectures. So he says, if you don't control what you believe, your circumstances will, and you don't want that. You don't want that. And you know why you don't want that, because the world may show you things that you actually don't like. And there's a key there. There's a key for you to take that and know that you are only experiencing it because of your own assumption. But if you don't change the story, you are going to take what the world, the external, the physical world, right? You're going to take what it's giving you and make it and reinforce your belief about it. So therefore, either you control your imagination and therefore also control your physical experiences, or your circumstances will. And of course, circumstances don't matter, but we will go more in depth with it in future videos. So I really hope you enjoyed this and make sure to subscribe for more videos on the topic of manifestation and really whatever else that comes with it, because for me, again, manifestation is not about getting things, it's about a deeper spiritual growth. Even when you are manifesting a simple object that is actually a bigger phenomena than what it looks like. How does manifestation actually work? How can you take control of it? And why would you be interested in it at all? In this video, I am not only going to explain to you how manifestation works, whether conscious or unconscious, but also give you all the reasons why you actually want to be interested in it. Because once you understand the law of assumption and start to apply the principles of it consciously, it can be life-changing, because you can manifest any situation into your life or out of your life that you desire. And I am really choosing my words carefully here, because in your physical reality, you're going to experience the things changing. In reality, what you are doing is choosing. So since my channel is relatively new, I thought this was a good video especially for the beginning, so that for many reasons. First of all, so that the beginners have some place to start. If any one of you watching this is really a beginner, you have just learned about manifestation, this video is definitely for you. But also for everyone else, just so you have an understanding of how I explain the law, how what I teach and what I have done, because this all comes from my own experience. I have manifested more things than I really can count. So I am going to give to you what I have experienced, the things that have worked for me. And also, to be honest, for everyone who is advanced, sometimes the more advanced we get with this, the more we tend to complicate things. And you will notice if you choose to subscribe to my channel and follow my guidance, my videos here, you will notice that I tend to go back to the basics very often, if not always, because the basics are where you start, and it's actually all you need. You can build everything on the basics, which isn't even a good word in this case, because it's really the fundamental stuff. If you know it, if you remember how the law works, it always helps in those situations where you might have doubts, you might doubt yourself, the outcome, the law itself. Remembering the basics is really helpful for the advanced also. So I highly, highly recommend, if you are very experienced in conscious manifesting, whenever you have any problems at all, go back to the basics, which is going to be the topic of this video. So you, of course, I'm pretty sure that you, like me, like maybe everyone else, have also learned that things happen to us and then we have an emotional reaction. With this explanation, it can be anything, with people, with money, with health, any situation. First it happens. This is, by the way, not true, but this is what we learn, that things happen and then we have an emotional reaction and thoughts about it. There are lots of problems with this explanation, of course, because then you have no understanding of why something happens and why you have that emotional reaction. The truth is, and this is where we go to manifestation, and manifestation happens whether you are aware of it or not. And here comes the good reason to be aware and conscious of it and actually apply it to your advantage, because if you don't, it's going to work anyway, just not to your advantage. In reality, how it works is that first we have the belief and then it gets pushed out. It's everything that you experience in your external reality, in your physical reality, what we tend to call 3D, right? It has been manifested from your inner world. Your inner world is all the non-physical parts of you. It's the beliefs, it's the repeated thoughts that then become beliefs / assumptions, hence the law of assumption. And everything you assume to be true has to be experienced. Everything that is impressed on your subconscious mind, which then becomes the assumption, the belief, has to be expressed. The way it works is that your subconscious mind, everything that there is in it, it has to prove it back to you. So whatever you hold in your subconscious mind as true, your own subconscious mind has to prove it to you. So it manifests situations where your belief is true. And then when you have an emotional reaction, that's the programming that you already had that got triggered from the situation that you yourself manifested. Now, in the beginning, when people hear this and they are not aware that this is the way things go, some people tend to just discard it. That's not true. I could never have manifested something like that in my life. Or they start blaming themselves for things that have happened that maybe they wouldn't want to happen. You don't need to blame anyone, and taking responsibility of it actually gives you a lot of power. You have manifested things without knowing you manifested it. The horrible relationship, health issues, money problems, anything that you have experienced in your life. You didn't know you were manifesting. If you knew, you wouldn't, of course. So please be aware that no one is blaming you, and be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, because you are not going to help yourself by blaming yourself, by feeling guilty. And on the other hand, when you take responsibility of it, it gives you all the power. Because if we learn that everything in our external reality comes from the inside, from the inner world, from the internal reality, which is your wonderful human imagination, as Neville Goddard puts it, you know that anything that you want to experience differently in your life also has to come from inside of you. Because, and this is one of my favorite analogies, and it also comes from Neville Goddard, your external reality is a mirror of your internal reality. Your 3D experience only shows you what you are holding in your mind. And when you want to change something, you don't go to the mirror. And you might have noticed that when you try to fix things in the 3D, it's struggle. You struggle, because when you try to fix things in the physical, you are trying to fix the symptom. And what we want to do is to change the cause, which is your imagination, which is something that you hold in your imagination. That again gives you all the power because it's in your hands. You are not working with the external. And this is actually something that a lot of people forget, even in the conscious manifesting community, that you don't change things on the outside. And this is the reason that I said in the beginning that I'm choosing my words carefully, because your experience, yes, is going to be that something changed. But you are not changing something on the outside. In reality, you are changing, but it's your thinking. It's what you continuously imagine. And an even better explanation than changing that is that you are choosing. You are choosing something new. And when you focus on it, there are different techniques, and I will talk about the different techniques that I have used myself with great success. And by the way, in order for you to know, and this goes both for the beginners and for the advanced, if you come across something new, you want to give it a try, the creative power is in your imagination. So if the technique works with your imagination, then there's a good chance it works. But if it's something that is going to manipulate in the 3D, do stuff that is not going to change your assumption or your belief about it, probably maybe try, but probably discard it, because the creative power is in your imagination. Everything else is just showing you what you are creating. So basically, that is how manifestation works, and it works whether you're aware of it or not. When you're not aware of it, what happens is that things happen. You don't realize that you are holding a belief about it. That's why it happens. Sometimes the belief is not about the situation itself or the person you're dealing with. Sometimes the belief is about yourself, that you are not loved, you are for some reason not good enough. Now I'm giving general examples. Sometimes it's very general, sometimes it's very specific. And that manifests a situation where you feel like that. So that feeling you have already is being triggered, and you react to it, and then it reinforces the belief that you for some reason are not good enough, for example, if that's the problem. And then you keep manifesting the same situation, reinforcing the belief, and it goes on and on like that. The reason I say you want to be conscious of it is that when something happens that you don't enjoy, you don't want more of, you realize that it happened because you hold a belief about it, you have an assumption about it. And if you go inside and you change your thinking habits, basically your imagination, that situation on the outside has to change, because it's a mirror of your inner world. It's going to show you what you have shifted to, right? I hope this makes sense. So anything on the outside that you don't enjoy, you don't like, don't even try to fix it on the outside. Go inside. This is where the cause is. You change the cause, the mirror is going to change like magic. So again, a good reminder, a very basic, not again basic, but also fundamental thing to remember, both for beginners and for very advanced and experienced conscious manifestors, is that when something happens on the outside, before you react to it, try to remember how it works. The outside world, my physical experiences completely depend on what I keep in my imagination. Which means that if I change my imagination, the external world, which depends on my imagination, has to follow my imagination. So wherever my imagination goes, that is where the 3D reality has to go to. So that is the law. This is law. This is a universal law. This doesn't depend on anything, on who you are, what story you've had, on the economy, on your government or whatever. The law says whatever gets impressed into your subconscious mind has to be expressed, which means that you have complete control in what's going on in your mind, right? It's your imagination. You can choose your thoughts. You can choose thoughts to make become your beliefs. You can choose what to imagine. You can choose anything you do in your imagination. That's for you to choose. And that once by using whatever technique that you find works best for you or works best in that situation, once it's in there, it has to show in the physical reality. Before I finish the video, I have manifested things without believing in the thing itself that it could manifest, but by reminding myself that if I, for example, the simplest thing to manifest, the simplest way to manifest, or maybe one of the simplest ways to manifest, repeating a thought over and over. I absolutely didn't believe it could happen. I could not see how something like that could happen. But I knew that if I kept thinking about the how, I would just keep myself in that. It's a trap. Don't do that. What I did was, and I have done this several times, by the way, this is not one-time manifesting. I said to myself, I admitted to myself, I have no idea. I can't see how this is going to happen, but I know that if I keep repeating the thought, it's going to get into my subconscious mind, and you don't even need to be that technical. If I keep repeating the thought, it has to happen in my reality. I don't know how. That's not even your job to figure out how. You have your subconscious mind to do that for you. It has to happen. That's the law. And that is all you need to remember. That is the way it works. First, it's on the inside, and then it gets pushed out on the outside to show you the proof of your belief. This gives you all the power, all the control if you choose to take control of it, which of course I highly recommend you do, because it can be it is life-changing once you start applying it. Time is always a big question and a big topic in conscious manifestation, for a very good reason, because no one wants to wait around forever for their manifestation to come to pass in the 3D. And this is one of the first questions I get from new clients, especially those who are also new to conscious manifestation, because everyone wants to know when their manifestation is going to happen in the 3D, to be experienced in the 3D. So if you are in a situation where you are experiencing that it's taking too long, it's starting to become frustrating, you are definitely not alone, because lots of people are dealing with this problem when manifesting anything, really. And I am not going to tell you that time isn't real, time is an illusion, etc. These are things that I'm sure you have heard many times before. And I don't find that very helpful when you are trying to manifest something and you experience something taking a long time and people tell you, oh, time isn't real, but how is it not real if I experience it, right? We do experience time in the 3D reality. In our physical human experience, we do experience time. So in this video, I am going to keep it real in that sense, that we do experience time, and sometimes it's annoying, and sometimes it can take annoyingly long time for something to manifest. And yes, you can do something about it, and you can definitely make your manifestations happen quicker in the 3D, and that is exactly what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm going to give you tips that you can apply, simple things that you can do to really change the game. Before I do that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like and share so that more people, as many people as possible, can see this video. And let's talk about time. Specifically, what to do when you notice that it's been a long time, it's taking too long. Now, manifesting in a time crunch is a thing. You can definitely do it. I have manifested things in days, and big things, you know, not the usual free cup of coffee. Because of course your subconscious doesn't care if you find something to be big or small, it's going to manifest what you focus on. So the main thing that makes it take forever or feel like it's taking forever is when you are actually not as focused on your end goal as you think you are. Now, in order to understand why something takes longer than it should, if you find that it's taking too long for you to manifest that thing, even if it's a big thing, big, important, whatever you may call it, if it's taking too long, there's a risk that you're doing something wrong. And let's talk about it. So, things that manifest in the 3D physical reality are things that you believe to be true in your mind. That is why we manifest through our imagination. We don't manifest through physical action. By the way, stay tuned and subscribe, because I'm going to talk about physical action probably a lot on this channel, because that is one of my maybe favorite topics. I am absolutely not for taking action, by the way. That is what I'm going to explain more in the future videos. So we manifest through our imagination, and the reason we do techniques is to bring our awareness to a point where we know something to be true. When we know our end goal manifestation to be true already, regardless of what's going on in the 3D. So one of the main things, the biggest thing that people do is actually to focus on lack rather than their manifestation, their end goal. And this is not something people do on purpose. A lot of people think they are living from the end and focusing on the end goal, but they are actually not. What happens is that you do your techniques. For some, it's affirmations. For other, it's other imaginal acts, which is not just visualization. It's also inner conversation. It's your feeling states. It's you can use your taste and your smell sense to manifest, actually. A fun little story. I have once had a client, and she has been this one single client who told me that she didn't really, she couldn't really visualize, and she didn't really like affirmations. So we were figuring out what she wanted to do, and she asked in the middle of the conversation, can I use my smell sense? I said, yeah, of course you can use. She was manifesting a specific person, by the way. She said, the best way I can feel my person is that I can smell him. Can I do that? Of course you can do. Anything you can do in your imagination is going to manifest if you persist in it. So that was just a fun little story. What happens is that a lot of people do their techniques, but when they're done is they become aware that their manifestation is actually not there, that what they were doing in their mind is just fantasy, it's not real. And now the 3D, which we experience as very real, it's not there. This is something that you really, really want to avoid, because what you do is you start manifesting the end goal once you focus on it, and then when you're not, your manifestation goes in the other direction, which is the lack of it. So make sure to pay attention to where your mind goes once you're done doing your specific techniques. I have several other videos that talk about limiting beliefs and how to change the limiting beliefs and how to know if your manifestation has actually, if you have successfully impressed your subconscious mind. So this is one of those topics where the more you are focused on lack, even if it's accidentally, the longer time it's going to take for you to impress on your subconscious mind. I am sure you have heard many times that the time it takes for something to manifest is the time it takes for you to impress on your subconscious mind. Now, this is where we get to the practical part of the video. How to make it quicker. The more you focus on something, the quicker it's going to manifest. It's that simple. It's not always that easy to apply. I totally understand that, but the way it works is that simple. The more you focus on something, the quicker it's going to manifest, because the quicker your mind is going to accept it as true. And this is why I am not so much a fan of when people say, oh, you can't obsess about your manifestation because that implies that you don't have it. If you're obsessing over your manifestation from a state of not having it, I don't have it, so I have to do something to get it, that's lack. That's what you are telling your mind, is that I don't have it, so I have to do stuff to get it. So you stay in the state of lack. But if you can obsess over your manifestation from the state of already having it, then what you are actually doing is you're focusing on the end goal, and it's going to be accepted by your own subconscious mind a lot quicker. The times where I have manifested things the quickest has been when I have done the following. If you are obsessing over your manifestation, anything you desire, if you really have this, what Neville Goddard calls the burning desire for something, chances are that you are going to think of it maybe all day long. So when you are told that you shouldn't be thinking of your manifestation all day long, is really not helpful, because if the desire is still there, you are going to think of it. So you can't force yourself to not think about something that you keep desiring. Now, the work we do is to get ourselves from the state of desiring to the state of having it. So you can actually use your obsession to actually do the work to impress your end goal on your subconscious mind. And really, when you're obsessed about it and you remember to control your mind, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do in a minute. It's going to go a lot quicker than if you just do it here and there whenever you remember it, and in the middle your mind automatically goes to other places. That is exactly what makes it take forever. So make a pact with yourself that every single time the topic comes to mind, whatever the thoughts or the imaginal acts may be, if it's not from already having it, you are going to stop that conversation, that thought, that worry, that whatever it is, and you are going to get yourself in the end state, which is, even if it's just affirming, you don't have to do big things in your mind. Just the act of affirming that it's already here, I already have it, or do your visualization, your inner conversation, really whatever technique you like to do. You focus on it for a minute or two, or several minutes if you like, until your focus has changed. Then you have done a great job. And you will know that at some point after repeating, after a short session of affirmations, for example, you will feel satisfied. It feels like, yeah, I can go do something else now. If your mind goes back to the old story again, you do the same process again. And here what you are doing is that you are training your mind to, instead of training your mind to constantly repeat the story that it's not here, where is it, why isn't it coming, it's been such a long time, I've been affirming all this time, nothing is moving, etc., you are training the other story where you are experiencing your manifestation. So the result is that you are thinking from the end a lot, which is good. At some point, your mind is going to accept the idea. You are going to saturate your mind, your subconscious mind specifically, with the desired end goal, and you are not going to think of it as much. This is why I am not scared of telling people to obsess over your manifestation as long as it's from the end, because that obsession is not going to last forever. At some point you'll get enough of it, but not in the sense that you're tired and you don't want it anymore. It's more of a feeling of, yeah, I know it's mine. Well, knowing that in the 3D it's not there yet, it's just a matter of a little bit time. But when you are in the state of, I already know it's mine, from there to happening in the 3D is really no big deal anymore. Something else that I have very successfully used is when you notice that you are checking the 3D constantly, you are noticing it's been a long time, you are noticing that there's no movement in the 3D, just know that if you keep putting your attention on it, you are going to make that a habit. Now, what we do when we affirm new things is that we create new habits in our mind. The habit of thinking from the end instead of thinking from lack. It's replacing one habit with another. Now, when you start noticing the lack of your manifestation, if you keep doing that, that's going to become a habit. And after a while, what you do is that you really affirm the lack of it without realizing that you're doing it. So please pay attention. What you do here, something else, I'm just going to give you several tips. You do whichever you remember or whichever you find more helpful for you. Whenever you notice the 3D is not moving, there's nothing happening, it's still not here, and it's been a long time, and similar stories, you are going to stop yourself, remind yourself that things that manifest in the 3D are things that I believe to be true. So therefore, this is going to be the process instead. Oh, it's not happening. My person is not texting me. The money is not there. My health is still not what I want, etc. No. We're not going to entertain that story anymore. How can I say it's not here if it's already here? How can I say it's taking a long time if I already have the manifestation now, if it has already happened now? So instead of affirming or visualizing the end or whatever you're doing, you are stating the fact that your manifestation is actually here. Why am I worrying about time if it's already here? Why am I worrying about 3D movement if it's already here? I can't worry about the lack of something when I already have it. What you do is you simply claim your manifestation to be true, and this is just a different way of living in the end. Your subconscious mind, always remember this, your subconscious mind doesn't know what's true, what's not. It only knows what you tell it. So when you make a conscious manifestation process technical, you sort of remove negative thoughts and emotions, and you simply do the technique with focus. Your subconscious mind still doesn't know what's true, what's not. So if you keep telling yourself that it's actually here, why do I worry about this? I can't worry about it if I already have this thing, or if I'm already with my person, or whatever you are manifesting. This is just a different way of shifting focus. So the best thing you can do is, first of all, notice and pay attention and notice and not let your mind continuously go and notice that it's still not there in the 3D, because if you keep doing that, I promise you it's going to take you forever. That is probably really the main thing that makes it take forever. The only thing that can stop your manifestation from coming or make it take a long time is your focus on the lack of it. There's nothing else that can mess with your manifestation, which is a very powerful thing to remember. So, and this is why I like to make it technical when there are many emotions involved. No, I'm not going to focus on this anymore, even though, yes, it feels true, it feels bad, etc. I'm just removing my attention from the current reality to my desired reality. I claim it to be true. If I do this enough times, and the more I do, the quicker it's going to go. Really, let's just really keep it simple and keep it real. The more you focus on something, the more it's going to sink in, and the quicker it's going to sink in. Because at some point it's like your mind goes, okay, I get it, I'm doing it. So don't worry about obsessing over your manifestation, as long as it's from the end and not from lack. Because again, the obsession is not going to last forever. At some point your mind is really going to take it in and say, okay, enough thinking about this, I'm doing it. I'm just gonna do it. And this is what happens with all manifestations. If you keep repeating something, it has to come to pass in the 3D, because this is law. It's the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true happens in the 3D, has to happen, has to manifest in the 3D. And the more you assume something, the more you repeat something, assume, affirm, repeat, visualize, hear, taste, smell, feel, the more you do it, the quicker it's going to go. It's that simple. And yes, it can happen in days if you don't let your mind go in the other direction. Today, I want to talk about attracting versus manifesting and the differences between the two, and also why it's so important to understand the differences, because I have experience with both. And I have seen one of them not work no matter how hard I tried, and I have seen the other work as soon as I started applying it. If you have seen my other videos, you know already what I'm talking about, which one worked for me, which one didn't. But I wanted to put it in one video in order to compare the two, because there's one specific and very important distinction that makes the whole difference. And once you understand this, if you are struggling to make it work for you, once you understand this, it's going to make a whole lot of sense to you, and you will know that this will also help you understand not only why it works, but if you come across techniques or methods or whatever, you will know what works and what doesn't, based on understanding the differences between, again, attracting and manifesting. One is based on what is called the law of attraction. The other is the law of assumption. So we are going to talk about what is what and how they are supposed to work. Before I do that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and help me spread the message. And especially if you are into manifesting and like to have specific, absolutely tested, and simple methods that you can apply right away to your manifestations. Everything I talk about on this channel, I have used it myself. After having tried the things, I have used the methods with my clients. So, and I have a lot of experience with this. So subscribe and stay with me as we talk about the law of attraction and the law of assumption. Now, I think a lot of people have started with the law of attraction because I had no idea the law of assumption was a thing. It was at least 14 years ago, and I came across this idea that the mind creates the physical reality, which was mind-blowing, and it was law of attraction everywhere. and of course I believed there was something in it that just made me believe that that's true. Mind over matter, that wasn't the question. The question for me remained how to make it work for me. Now they talk about the idea that you have to vibrate at a certain frequency, which is the same frequency as your desire, so that you align your vibration frequency with the desire so that you attract it in. I genuinely never figured out what it means. Of course, we understand frequency and vibration in terms of energy, and everything is energy, but when you have to apply it, I personally never figured out what I had to do. I tried different things. I was never sure if that was the thing to do. And I never got results. And of course, you try it again and again and again, it just becomes frustrating. Until at some point I figured out Neville Goddard, God bless him, who made everything make sense for me. Now, the idea of law of attraction is, please in the comments let me know if you have specifically manifested stuff with the law of attraction based on this vibration stuff, or whatever else they say, because it never worked for me. I was always left with the idea, okay, the mind creates, but what is my job here? What do I need to do? And that is still the question with the law of attraction for me. The idea is that you attract things in. You start, I don't even know how to explain this vibration thing. The law of attraction talks a lot about vibrating on high frequency, on low frequencies, etc. There are different problems with this. One of them being the idea that you have to vibrate at a high frequency, which I guess it means that you need to be happy and feeling good all the time, or as much as possible, unless you are going to attract low vibrational things. The one big problem with this is that it makes you avoid your negative emotions. I think it's a really bad idea to ignore and avoid any negative either emotions or thoughts, because when you do that, you are suppressing it. You are not getting rid of it. You're suppressing it and you are just keeping it for later. It's going to come up. Just because you ignore a negative emotion or a negative thought, a negative story that creates anxiety for you, it's not going to go away. You need to deal with these emotions. There are ways to deal with the negative emotions and the negative thought patterns that makes you free from them. Really, it frees you from them. And I'm going to talk a lot about this. In the future, I have some videos. I'm probably going to link several videos during this one about these topics, that you don't have to force yourself to be happy all the time. This creates what they call a toxic positivity, which isn't the way to manifest. That's not how manifestation works. You need to understand why a negative emotion comes up, what it's telling you, and basically you need to work with it and get rid of it, because if you don't get rid of it, it's going to stay. I'm starting to repeat myself. That is one very big problem with the law of attraction, that you need to constantly be positive. That's not the case. Don't worry about it. If you are worried that you have anxiety, you have had negative thoughts for a while, that now you're going to manifest horrible things into your life, this is something that creates so much anxiety for people. Don't worry. That's not how it works. Another, and this one was what I meant in the beginning when I said a very important distinction between the two, that is going to solve probably lots of mysteries for you. And again, this is also a big problem I have with the law of attraction, which is the idea of attracting something. Because when you create or operate from the idea of your desire being somewhere, God knows where, out there, and you are attracting it in, you are starting out with separation. And why it's a problem, I'm going to explain to you by explaining how the law of assumption actually works. Now, I will start talking about the law of assumption and how that works. That will explain to you why the idea of attracting something is problematic. You manifest, you have probably heard this a lot of times, that you don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. Who you are comes from the inside. It's something that you are being. Now, mind you, even if you're manifesting a car or a pair of shoes, you need to become the person who owns the car, the pair of shoes, the health, the relationship, or whatever else you are manifesting, right? The idea of the law of assumption is to assume something to be true which is on the inside of you. You are being that. And then it gets pushed out from you, which means that the external reality, the physical reality that you are experiencing is a mirror. It's showing you what you are assuming, believing, the stories that you are repeating in your mind. So it's a mirror of the inside, which means that the outside world, the external world, the 3D world, is a reflection of you, so it comes from the inside. So when you think about the law of assumption, you think of inside out. The law of attraction is the opposite. It's from the outside in, and it's never going to work because, well, it's never going to. Again, please let me know if that idea has ever worked for you. It has never worked for me because I didn't ever figure out with that idea from attracting something on the inside that I had to become something. I had to become that person. And that changes the whole game, because when you realize that something is not working for you, for example, with my clients, every time anyone complains that they do the techniques, they affirm, they do this and do that, it's not working, the first question I ask is, what are your automatic thoughts, or have you changed? In other words, have you changed? Because you are the one that needs to change, not the outside world. You're not working on with the outside, with the physical. Even if you are manifesting a person, you are not manifesting in reality. You are not manifesting the person to change. You are manifesting a different version of you who is experiencing that person differently. Even though in the physical, yes, it's going to feel like the person changed. But in reality, first you changed. You changing means your assumptions, the image that you're holding of that person, or for example, of your money, of your health, of the car that you are manifesting. Again, the pair of shoes, it doesn't matter. Everything needs to happen on the inside, which means that there is no separation. That was the conclusion of it all. There is no separation. As soon as you start creating separation mentally, you are going to create that separation physically also. This is the problem I have with the idea of the law of attraction, that you're attracting something in. Try to think of it instead pushing something out, you becoming something on the inside in your imagination, in your mental world, inner world, and then the 3D, the physical, the outside world just reflects it. It conforms to it. That way of thinking changes the way that you operate, because when you see something not working, you know that you are the source. You are the source. There's nothing on the outside that does stuff. You are the source doing the stuff for the outside to change. So the idea of this video was to demystify some terms, I guess, in manifestation, and the idea of separation. Play around with the idea that there is no separation. If you feel the separation, then it's created in your mind, and get rid of it. Do the techniques, whatever works for you, in order to get rid of the idea of separation. There's no separation. If you're manifesting a person, it will maybe come to your awareness after you manifested. You will realize that there was no separation all the time, the whole time, because whatever you're thinking, they're thinking. If you are coming from a state of mind that the person for some reason doesn't like you, doesn't want to be with you, doesn't want to talk to you, maybe it's even your boss who just doesn't like you, doesn't like your job, etc. If you change the idea of the person in your mind, that person is just going to follow. There's nothing you attract. The car that you're manifesting, house, whatever, you need to become the owner. However you do it, affirm it, feel it, visualize it, hear it, smell it, taste it, become the person, and then you will see the 3D shift and conform to that. So the main difference that really makes the whole difference for you to get results is the idea of being separated, then attracting it in, and then having it, and having it, no separation. It's you already have it, and you push it out. The 3D just conforms and shows you what you are being. That, I promise you, is going to change the game for you. So please, if you haven't already, start playing around with this idea. And if you're manifesting something and you're worried that it's not working, the first question to ask yourself is, have I changed, or am I still operating from my old self, the old story, the old fears and anxieties, etc.? And then from there start to solve the problems, and you will. That's a law. This is something that you can test, and I highly recommend for you to test it. I did, it worked. And of course I have manifested countless things, big, small, neutral, important, very important, manifested stuff for other people. You need to test it to see how it works. You get the hang of it, and then you know what to do next time, and you grow. And it's wonderful every time. The experience that a manifestation happens in front of your eyes, and you knowing that it's because you created it in your mind first, is something I can't describe. You have to experience it. I hope you put it to the test, and I really hope that this was, again, inspiring, and it demystified some things for you around manifestation. You can do it. All you need to do is to put it to the test and do the work. The work is not going to do itself. I thought we would be done with this topic at some point, but apparently not yet, because apparently it's still a thing on the internet and it continues stressing people out, which I don't think is fair. So today we are going to talk about manifesting from a negative state of mind, or manifesting from a negative feeling state, rather. Can you or can you not manifest while feeling anxious, sad, maybe you're full of doubts? I really thought this would have been debunked by now, but for some reason it's not. And I have had so many people come to me with the fear that just because they had a negative emotion or felt bad or had a bad day or bad couple of days, they ruined it and are now stressed that they somehow ruined their manifestation. So we're going to go into the depths of that and hopefully give you clarity on the topic and clarity on what to do if you're in that state. First things first, welcome to my channel where I keep manifesting and everything regarding manifesting simple and practical so that you can apply it to your own manifestations right away. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any videos. And let's talk about this topic of having negative emotions. First of all, what I said prior, feeling people being anxious and fearful that they somehow ruined their manifestation or something bad is going to happen just because they had negative emotions, that's not how it works at all. You need to understand and accept the fact that you're a human being with human emotions and you are going to have negative emotions here and there. Maybe you are in a period where lots of negative stuff is coming up. That's normal. That doesn't mean that you are absolutely going to manifest horrible things in your life. And I think this is the worst fear of people when they learn, quote unquote, learn that you have to be happy all the time to manifest good things. Otherwise, as soon as you start feeling sad or angry or whatever negative emotion, you're going to start manifesting horrible things in your life that creates this unnecessary anxiety. That's not how it works. So you are going to have negative emotions, and that's okay. There's a reason for that, and there are ways to work with that. First of all, your emotions, both negative and positive, are a manifestation of your mind, of your thoughts, of the stories you keep telling yourself. So knowing that, it already makes it logical, right? Logical, I don't know how logical that is, but at least clearer that if a negative emotion is a manifestation of the story I have been telling myself, and if the emotion is negative, or feeling bad somehow, then the story you've been telling yourself is a story that you don't want to experience. So it's all the fears, all the past negative experiences, all the things that haven't even happened yet that you're probably already stressing about. So with that in mind, it means that even from a negative feeling state, if you start changing that story and persist in a different story, which is going to feel good when that happens, it's actually is going to start feeling good before it happens in the physical, in the 3D. That is going to change your feeling state, first of all. So your emotions are talking to you. All they're doing is telling you that you are holding onto a story that you don't want. Now, can you manifest your desired end goal from that state anyway? Yes, you can. Now, there are different ways to go about it. By the way, in the next video, I am planning on giving you a specific technique to neutralize or actually get rid of the resistance quite easily. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned, because next video is going to be very technical. But in this video, I want to focus on the fact that no matter how you feel, it's in your hands. Your mind, your focus is in your control. You can, in that state, change the story to your liking. Now, especially if the case is that you are making assumptions about something that you don't even know if it has happened or not, but your fear is telling you that something horrible has probably happened. A classical one that I have heard a lot from clients is, for example, people who were manifesting specific people, romantic relationships, and they are in no contact. they start making up stories why they are in no contact. Maybe the other person has found someone else, they don't want me, they don't like me, etc., etc. And of course, that is going to create a negative feeling state. You can do the same, can do, shouldn't, but that same process happens with lots of different situations. Money, making assumptions that you can't make money, no money is going to come in, because maybe you are you're about to pay a bill or whatever the situation. Your fear is actually about the future that hasn't happened yet, that probably you're not going to be able to pay for whatever you need to pay. So it's a state of lack. Whatever assumption you keep persisting in eventually is going to manifest, but you have the chance, even while feeling anxious, to change the story. Start slow. If you can, go bold and completely deny the reality and state as a fact your desired end goal as if it has already happened. If not, go slow. Start asking questions, positive questions, that what if I figured out something? There's always a solution to every problem. There's always a solution to every situation. What if I found out something? What if I figured out something? That is going to direct your attention on something else and help you calm down. And it's going to be easier for you to focus. But again, that's not even necessary. So not everyone is going to be able to be bold and affirm from a negative state, but for some people it helps. Or for you, sometimes it will be helpful to completely shift focus, deny the current 3D, and the way you deny it is you shift focus to something else, your end goal. Can you do it from a negative state? Yes, you can. It's possible. Can you manifest good things while being in a negative feeling state? Absolutely yes, because as I said before, your negative feeling state is already a manifestation of your mind, of the stories you keep telling yourself. So if you start telling yourself a different story, and again in the future I'm going to talk a lot about how to do this in different situations, also for different people, because every single one of us operates differently. Going completely bold and denying the 3D and going to the end may not work for everyone, but there are different ways of doing it. The point of this video is to tell you that yes, you can absolutely manifest your desired end goal from a negative feeling state. And just because you feel bad, just because you've had a bad day, it absolutely doesn't mean that something horrible is going to happen. Manifestation is a constant flow. First things first, let me finish the topic I was talking about, and then I will talk about how manifestation is constantly flowing and why that is important. So if you start changing the story in your mind and start creating a story that actually is favorable, that you want to experience, what your mind does constantly is it finds proof of your own beliefs and assumptions to be true. Whether that's true or not, if you create an assumption, that's going to be true for you. This is why we manifest. Like this, I was about to say manifestation works, but it sounds like it's something you do sometimes and it works. It's something that happens all the time. That's how life works. You have an assumption and then that you start having experiences of that assumption. The same way your emotions are also your mind proving your assumption to you. So you have an assumption that something is not the way you like, so your mind has to calibrate your body with that belief, with that assumption, so that your body feels the way that your story is. And the same way, your mind finds ways, different ways in the 3D to prove your assumptions to you. Now, again, so just so that you don't get scared that, oh my God, then it means that if I had an anxious moment, then my mind is going to start manifesting things that I'll be more anxious about. That's not how it works. You remember how I said that manifestation is constantly flowing. If you are in this negative state and you change your focus to something better, something that you actually want to experience, your manifestation is going to go in that direction. Actually, it's not that you start focusing on positive things, you affirm good things, you imagine good things, but then something bad has to happen because you were anxious 2 days ago. Your manifestation actually just flows in that direction until that becomes an assumption if you persist in it. And this is probably the main reason why conscious manifestations sometimes take longer than people want to, because we go from lack to having it, from negative story to positive, from negative to affirming. And that is why your manifestation, instead of if you just focused on one thing and stayed there, it would go directly from where you are to that point, that place in time and space where you actually have it, you experience it. But since we shift focus from current situation to desired situation, to current problems to desired situation, your manifestation goes this way. So you experience it take longer time, right? Eventually you will arrive if you persist in your assumption. But all this to say that you're going to get there anyway. Don't get scared that just because you had a bad moment or a bad couple of days that you ruined it, that something bad is awaiting you in the future. I think this is the worst fear of people who believe that they have to be positive all the time to manifest good things. That's not how it works. Take your state from where you are and just direct it the way it works for you. Of course, I'm not telling you to keep staying in the negative state, feeding into it, focus on the unwanted. Absolutely not. That's not a good idea. It's going to make you feel worse and worse, and no one wants that. But to manifest good things from that state, yes, you can, and you should, because it's in your hands. It's your imagination. You can do with it whatever you want, and it's going to create a wrong word. And at some point, I'm going to make a video about why it's not create, it's manifest. It's going to manifest what story you keep telling it. If you keep telling a great, wonderful, beautiful story from a bad state of mind, at some point that story is going to create, again, manifest, better feeling state and a better feeling physical reality. So don't get scared. Do your thing. You're probably already doing the right thing. And before I end the video, I think it's very important to mention that it shouldn't be your goal to feel positive all the time. That is not even healthy. Even for your manifestations, that's not a healthy place to manifest from. There are reasons why you have these negative emotions. So no reason to ignore them. There are ways to work with them, to get rid of them, actually, to change the story. And I am going to talk about this a lot on this channel, so make sure to subscribe. I am really hopeful that this was helpful, that this calmed you down, that this made you feel a bit more confident, that yes, just because you feel anxious doesn't mean you can't have your manifestation, and it absolutely doesn't mean that you absolutely have to manifest something horrible just because you had a bad moment. That's not how it works. Don't worry. And again, subscribe and see you in the next video.